I've been hauling freight across this country for over 15 years now. Seen just about everything you could imagine out on the road. Crazy drivers, snowstorms in June, even UFO sightings. But nothing, and I mean nothing, ever shook me like what happened one night out in the mountains of, well, let's just call it Route 9X. It was late October, around 2:30 in the morning. I was headed west, hauling a full load of steel coils when I took a detour through a quiet mountain pass. The regular highway was closed due to a landslide, and GPS suggested this alternate route. Big mistake. I'm not the type who scares easy. I've spent more than half my life behind the wheel, driving through stretches of highways so empty you start talking to yourself just to remember what your own voice sounds like. I've seen wrecks, wild animals, even people trying to flag me down in the middle of nowhere at 3 in the morning. Never one stopped. You learn to keep your eyes forward, your hand steady, and your gut in charge. But what happened that night? It wasn't something I could just explain away. It wasn't fatigue. It wasn't imagination. It was real. And it started quiet, almost too quiet. It was a Thursday, late October. Cold had started creeping in. That kind of air that gets into your bones before you even step outside. I had a long haul. Steel coils heading west. Highway closure ahead forced me onto a detour through a lesser used mountain pass. GPS said it was clear, said it was safe. But GPS doesn't know everything, does it? The road narrowed the second I turned off the main highway. Gravel replaced pavement. Trees started crowding closer. No street lights. No reflective signs. Just my headlights cutting through the fog that clung low to the ground like it had been sitting there for years, waiting. The further I went, the more I felt it. Something wasn't right. You ever drive somewhere and just feel like the world got quieter? Not peaceful. Not calm. Empty. Like even the animals knew better than to hang around. And it wasn't just quiet. There was no signal. My CB was dead. Phone was dead. Radio gave me nothing but static. About 15 minutes into that detour, I passed a mile marker, barely standing. Thing was rusted, bent at the base, numbers all faded out. Looked like it hadn't been maintained since the 70s. One of those things you notice, not because it matters, but because it just adds to the sense that maybe you shouldn't be there. I rolled past it slow, keeping my eyes ahead, but something caught in my peripheral. Just off the road, past the edge of my high beams, was a figure, still, black silhouette. Looked like a person just standing there by the tree line, arms by their sides, facing the road, watching. Now I've been on long routes. I've seen deer, shadows, stumps that look like people. Your brain plays tricks out there in the fog. I've never been one to freak out. But this wasn't some trick of the light. It didn't move, didn't blink, didn't look away. It just stood there, still as stone. I slowed down just a little, instinct maybe, glanced at my side mirror. Fog rolled in even thicker, like a curtain falling over that side of the road. Couldn't see a thing. Figure was gone. At first, I tried to laugh it off. Told myself it was a tree, maybe a broken sign. Something normal. I took a deep breath, kept my hand steady, and reached to change the station, just to break the silence. That's when it hit. The radio lit up. Static, loud and sharp, like someone had turned the volume all the way up when I wasn't looking. And under the static, there was a sound. Not music, not distortion. A voice. It wasn't clear. Not a full sentence. Just 3 words, raspy, distant, like someone whispering through a tin can from the bottom of a well. You've gone too far. I froze. Didn't touch the dial. Didn't speak. Just kept my eyes locked on the road and waited for the static to stop. But it didn't. The words didn't repeat. The voice didn't come back. Just that white noise crawling through the speakers like bugs behind drywall. I turned the radio off. Dead silent again. Even the gravel under the tires sounded muffled now, like the whole world was being wrapped in something thick and wrong. And I couldn't shake it, that feeling. Like I wasn't alone in that cab. Not really. Like something had hitched a ride when I passed that mile marker. I even checked the back seat in the mirror. Nothing there. Nothing but shadows and the red glow of the dash lights. I gripped the wheel harder than I should have. My hands were starting to sweat, even though the outside temp read just above freezing. I rolled down the window an inch, just to feel the cold air, remind myself I was still here, still awake, but even the wind felt off. It wasn't moving through the trees. It was still, like the whole mountain was holding its breath. That was the first sign. That voice, that figure, the feeling that something had started watching, following, guiding me, maybe, or hurting me somewhere. I should have turned around right then. Any normal person with a half-decent survival instinct would have hit the brakes, reversed it all the way back to the highway, and taken the loss. But truckers, we don't like turning back. We're built to move forward, keep rolling, finish the job. That's what I told myself anyway. So I kept going. Told myself I was just tired. Maybe I'd imagined the voice, or maybe it was some prank from a Busterham radio bouncing off the mountains. Just fog and nerves. That's all it was. That's what I wanted to believe. But not even 5 minutes after I passed that busted mile marker, things got worse. The road started climbing. The kind of uphill where even an empty trailer would make your engine growl. But mine was loaded, heavy, and yet it wasn't slowing down. In fact, I realized the truck was accelerating. I checked my foot, wasn't even touching the gas pedal. That's when it hit me. My hands weren't on the wheel anymore. I'd been gripping it this whole time without thinking, like muscle memory. But right then, my palms were hovering maybe an inch above it, and the wheel was moving, not drifting, not pulling from bad alignment, turning, smooth, precise, like someone was guiding it with both hands, real firm, and steady. I froze. It's hard to describe that kind of fear unless you've lived it. When something breaks in your world, not violently, but quietly, subtly, that's the worst kind. Not the kind that screams in your face, but the kind that whispers, you're not in control anymore. The rig was steering itself. Uphill, on a narrow road surrounded by pitch black forest and walls of fog. And I was just sitting there. I tapped the brake. Nothing. Pushed harder. Still nothing. Engine kept humming. Tachometer was climbing. The road curved slightly to the right, and the truck adjusted on its own. Smooth as hell. Like a damn ghost had taken the wheel. I swallowed hard. My breath fogged up the inside of the windshield. Even though the defroster was on, my hands were sweating, but my whole body felt cold. And then, the chill, it came from behind my seat. Not like a breeze or a draft, but like a presence. Like walking into a room where someone just opened a freezer, except the cold was alive. It didn't crawl. It spread from the small of my back, up my spine, over my neck, into my scalp. It felt like I was being watched from just inches away, like something had leaned in just behind my shoulder. I didn't want to look, but instinct always wins in moments like that. I checked the rear view. Nothing. Just the cab. Dim red glow from the dash lights. A thermos rattling slightly in its cup holder. But then I saw it. The passenger seatbelt. It was moving, not swinging or bouncing from the motion. Pulling. Slowly, smoothly, like someone was reaching down and fastening it across their invisible body. I watched the strap tighten, notch by notch, until it clicked into place. That sound, click, was louder than it should have been. It echoed inside that cab like a gunshot. I couldn't move. I couldn't breathe. There was no one there. I knew that. But at the same time, every part of me knew something was sitting there. Something cold. Something silent. And it had just buckled up for the ride. That's when the lights started acting up. Dashboard flickered once, then twice. Speedometer needle twitched like it was trying to decide if we were going 40 or 80. The radio turned itself on again, static, louder this time, like a storm was blowing through the speakers. Then silence. Total, crushing silence. No engine hum. No tire noise. Just stillness. And then the truck jerked forward like something had slammed the pedal. I grabbed the wheel, finally snapping out of it. Yanked hard to the left. No response. It was like trying to steer a brick wall. My hands were on it, but it wasn't mine anymore. The rig was moving on its own now. Uphill. Faster. The road had narrowed to almost nothing. Trees, scraping the sides, fog blinding the front. The worst part? There were no more signs. No mile markers. No road paint. No indication that this path had ever been man-made. Let me tell you something. When your truck drives itself uphill, with no input from your hands or feet, through fog thick enough to choke, with something invisible sitting buckled in next to you, your brain goes into survival mode. You stop thinking about logic. You stop asking why or how. You just want out. So I tried. God knows I tried. I slammed the brakes with both feet. Hard. Nothing. Didn't even slow down. Pulled the gear shift into neutral. Tried reverse. The engine didn't even flinch. It just roared louder, like it was angry I was trying to fight it. I even reached down, yanked the key out of the ignition. Click. But the dashboard lights kept glowing. Engine still humming like the key had never mattered. And then the road disappeared. Just like that. It was like someone had peeled the pavement right off the earth beneath me. One moment, I was on gravel. The next, I was rolling, smoothly, over thick forest ground. Grass. Moss. Dirt. My rig shouldn't have lasted 5 seconds off-road, especially under that weight, but it just kept gliding forward, like the forest was making way for it, like it was invited. No bumps, no jerking, not even a sway in the trailer. Branches should have smashed my windshield, should have tangled in the grill, but they didn't. They just brushed gently across the glass like fingers, like they were reaching in. And every few feet, they'd part smooth and silent, so I could pass. That's when I knew. This wasn't about a wrong turn anymore. This wasn't a detour. This was a pull. Like something had decided I didn't need to be where I was supposed to be, and it wanted me somewhere else. I kept scanning for landmarks. A sign. A marker. Anything. But all I saw were trees. Endless. Towering trees with trunks so wide they looked ancient. And that fog, it never lifted. It just hung there like a veil, thick and unmoving, hiding everything except the path directly in front of me. And then I saw it. A tunnel came out of nowhere, just standing there in the middle of the woods like it had been waiting for centuries. The entrance was made of old, blackened stone, cracked and overgrown with moss. Vines spilled down from the arch like hair, and in the center, at the top, was a circular carving I couldn't quite make out. Looked like an eye, or maybe a sun, or maybe both. It wasn't on any map. I know these routes like the back of my hand. That tunnel? It doesn't exist. But the truck didn't hesitate. It rolled forward like it had a mind of its own. And in that moment, I think it did. Like I wasn't the one driving anymore. Hell, maybe I never was. The moment the rig entered the tunnel, all light vanished. My headlights flickered once and died. Dashboard went dark. Radio went silent. The entire cab turned pitch black. And I mean black. Not just darkness, but the kind that eats sound. That swallows your breath. I couldn't see my own hands. Couldn't hear my own heartbeat. Just the soft of the tires on stone and the echo of something. Not footsteps. Not voices. Just presence. There was a rhythm to it. Like a deep pulse coming from inside the tunnel itself. I kept thinking, this isn't right. This is a dream. Or I'm dead. Or both. But I wasn't dreaming. And I definitely wasn't dead. I was being taken. Minutes passed. Maybe hours. Time lost all meaning in that place. I tried to open the door once. Just once. The handle wouldn't budge. Like it was welded shut. Same with the windows. like the cab had sealed itself. At some point, I closed my eyes. Don't know if it was to pray or to try and wake up, or just give up. And that's when it happened. Everything stopped. The motion, the sound, even the cold. I opened my eyes and I was parked, middle of a rest stop, clean lot, trash cans, lights overhead, vending machines buzzing like normal, early morning light just starting to break over the hills, and not a single damn trace of that tunnel behind me. No forest, no dirt on the tires, no vines, nothing, just asphalt, like I'd pulled over after a regular shift and nodded off for a few minutes. Except the truck was running, full tank, dashboard lit up like nothing happened, load still intact. I even got out and checked every strap. And inside the cab, one thing hadn't changed. That passenger seatbelt, still buckled, pulled tight, like whatever was in that seat never got out. I didn't sleep for 3 nights after that. Drove straight through my drop-off, called in sick for the next route, told the company my rig had a steering issue. They ran diagnostics, came back clean, nothing wrong, no history of errors, not a damn thing out of place. I tried looking up that tunnel, checked every satellite map, every forestry road index, every underground structure within 50 miles of that route. Nothing. It doesn't exist. Not on paper. But I went through it, and ever since that night, every now and then, when I'm driving through remote stretches, I feel that same chill behind me, that quiet pressure, that slight tug on the wheel like something wants to steer again. And sometimes, when I park, even after I've unbuckled every strap, every belt, every tie down, that damn passenger seatbelt clicks back into place on its own.